Hey everyone, welcome back to Sara. How's it going? Almost the 1st of October, and we are getting excited about a few things happening coming up. We might make a separate video on this. We probably actually won't, but the U.S. Women's National Team just released their roster for the friendlies that are going to be happening in October against England and Spain. That's actually something we're going to talk about today. But that's actually kind of something we want to talk about because something has come up with one of the teams that United States are going to face in October. And that's actually one of the questions we're going to pose kind of toward the end of this video. Timestamps down below. But something very major is happening over in Spain with the Spanish women, with the team that just broke about a week ago, and it's major. And it's major because it has to do with sport itself and health and a lot of management and
with the players, the conditions and
fair treatment and player well-being, feeling safe as a person, as a player. Okay,
right.
So I'm sure most people who click on this video will have heard about what is going on. We're going to read from an article. So we're going to start with an article. Then we're going to kind of go into why the first kind of articles weren't the whole story.
Spanish FA announces unprecedented mass women's player resignations. The Royal Spanish Football Federation announced Thursday that 15 players from Spain's women's senior soccer team emailed the RFEF asking to resign from the national team. The reasoning for the players' decision is that they feel their mental health and emotional state are being affected negatively by coach Jorge Vilda. The 15 women claim they won't return to the team unless he steps down. The RFEF called these 15 emails an unprecedented situation in the history of football, both male and female in Spain and worldwide.
Okay, so that was kind of the first thing we heard. We heard that these 15 players sent an email to the federation saying their concerns, saying how they felt, how as a collective of these 15 players. They sent that email. That email was never meant for public
consumption.
Yeah, that was never meant for public knowledge. That wasn't ever meant for the public's eyes. So they sent that email to the federation,
and the federation did some shady things.
Then the 15 women came out, and then they kind of made things clear. So we're going to read from this other article that was posted.
More than half of the Spain's women's team no longer want to play in protest at their coach, though they don't want him removed. 15 players have told the Spanish Federation that being on the team has significantly affected their emotional state and health. The players, however, insisted on Friday that they have not asked for coach Jorge Vilda to be axed, but instead want from him and the Federation a clear commitment to a professional project with attention paid to all the aspects needed to get the best performance of the groups of players. We understand that it is not our job in any case to choose a coach, but it is our job to express in a constructive and honest way what we consider can improve the performance of the group, the players said in a statement on their social media accounts. The Federation has interpreted the players' move as an attempt to pressure its leadership into firing Vilda, who the players have publicly questioned in recent weeks. In a statement issued late Thursday, the Federation said it won't permit its players to question the continuance of the national team coach and that it wouldn't tolerate any type of pressure by any player.
So that's kind of what we know, that the 15 women wrote the letter. The Federation decided to go public with it. And then the 15 women came back and said, hey, this was not meant for public's eye, but we want to defend what we think is they're giving a false narrative already. That's not what we necessarily demand. We do demand conditions be better. We demand that we be treated better for a lot of different aspects, but that there is problems and they need to be addressed. The Federation will not accept even questioning that, which I think is another problem.
Yeah.
So what kind of federation? First of all, if everything is as we see right there, and we know both sides, doesn't the Federation already come across as a little Little shady for doing that. What they're saying is when they clarified their statement, they will not play for us, and I'm reading from it, they will not play for a situation until it is reversed. They cited an environment that has harmed their emotional and personal state and harmed the performance and the results of the team that has led to undesirable injuries. The way that they do training.
You always want a safe recovery, and it sounds like that's not what the priority is.
Also, there has been reports.
Spanish newspaper Mundo Deportivo reported that players feel that the environment is dictatorial. Vilda has, for instance, allegedly checked their bags after they went shopping and demanded to know who they were going to coffee with. All movement was subject to strict surveillance, the Spanish outlet reported. The players, in their Friday statement, claimed that they had never asked for the dismissal of the coach, but they did say, "We want a firm commitment to a professional project."
So yeah, I mean, that isn't maybe necessarily 100% confirmed, but if those are the conditions they're playing with as well, strict surveillance, asking who you're going to coffee with, I mean, that is something where you're not in an environment that is healthy.
Yeah, it's a little invasive, if you ask me.
So invasive, and I think a lot of these players just got fed up. They said, this isn't right, this isn't fair, this isn't healthy, and why should we have to put up with it? The way that the federation the language the federation has come back with is very concerning as well.
So they say it called the players' resignations a very serious infraction that could disqualify them from the national team selection for 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, so they're saying not only is this you have no right to say who the coach is, who the coach isn't. Because you're refusing to be called up, you could be banished for 2 to 5 years of playing just for bringing up concerns. That alone is concerning for the federation to have that kind of response.
Yeah, that's a wild rule.
They just want a better situation there. I'm going to read a little bit from this article, then we're going to kind of talk about it.
Spanish football star Alexia Putellas disputed RFEF's characterization that the footballers were resigning in her own statement on social media Friday. In no case did we resign from the Spanish national team like the RFEF claims in their official statement. Like we said in our private email, we've maintained, continue to maintain, and will continue to maintain an unquestionable commitment to the Spanish national team. This is why we request in our letter to the RFEF not to be called up to the national team until it remedies the situation that affect our mental and personal well-being, our performance, and in consequence, the results of the national team that could lead to undesirable injuries. These are the reasons why we've made the decision.
So Alexia isn't even one of the players for the 15 specifically, but she has an injury, so she wouldn't have been called anyway, but she's just reinforcing she stands with the team at this point. So she's definitely stands with the 15 players.
The players had been unhappy with the management of injuries, the atmosphere in the locker room, Vilda's team selection, and his training sessions, Reuters reported, citing sources close to the situation.
This is the part that was one of the most disturbing parts of the whole situation, that really just kind of made me say, even if you were not on the women's side, statements like this are very concerning.
The Federation will not admit any type of pressure from any player when adopting sports measures. These type of maneuvers are far from exemplary and outside the values of football and sports and are harmful. RFEF said that the players would not be allowed to return to the national team unless they accept their mistake and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, that was the part.
I just threw up.
Yes.
What?
That was the part that was one of the most disturbing about this whole situation is, they bring up a concern. They're completely shot down saying you have no part of deciding who the coach is, where the coach, what we're going to do. Not only do you have no part of it, the only part where you're going to be able to come back is you ask for forgiveness.
Get on your knees, beg and plead.
And accept your mistakes. I mean, even if you were on the Federation side, a statement like that is pretty ridiculous. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and whether that's translated verbatim or not, I mean, that's the gist of it. And that's pretty... I can't even... There's no words. I just said, yeah, I mean, I can't help but laugh because what?
Yeah. So also Jenni Hermoso has put out a statement saying that she supports the 15 players and the calls for change on the team. She says, the reality is I haven't slept for days thinking about solutions and looking for explanations of this emptiness. It's so great that I feel inside me. And it is that, after all, that we have worked for that breaks my heart to recognize that we are experiencing the worst moments in the history of women's football in Spain. Mm-hmm. I want to publicly express my support for my colleagues who a few days ago decided to communicate their positions. Not only do I understand your reasons, but I have also experienced many of the feelings and concerns you have communicated. So she as well said there's problems. There's even if this all is equal, everyone is saying that there's problems. And also those reports that were not necessarily coming from the women about the surveillance and the questioning who you're going with. I mean, there's major problems over there.
Sounds like 50 Shades of Sketch to me.
Yeah, very sketchy. But some of the U.S. women's national team players have shown support for the team. Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, Becky Sauerbrunn have all released statements in support of the Spanish team.
So I will read those real quick. So Alex Morgan said, "This is so hard to watch, knowing the Federation is throwing their players under the bus for players asking for better protection, treatment, and professionalism. Players, the best players in Spain, deserve so much better." And Megan Rapinoe said, "You got a 16th standing. You got a 16th standing with you in America. This many players together like this is so powerful. We should all listen." And then Becky Sauerbrunn, she said, "I think the Spanish players said it best in their statement. Why would a group of players on one of the most talented teams in the world risk their careers and reputations on unfounded, capricious complaints 8 months before the FIFA Women's World Cup?" And she also said, "I don't know the private details, but if 15 of the best players in the world wanted to share feedback, I'd respect them enough as people and players to take their concerns seriously."
Right. And
damn, she's good with words.
Yeah, that was really good. And I mean, that's kind of the thing where if all these players privately went to the Federation with concerns, and then the Federation's response was to leak the email and then talk down to their concerns, minimize any concerns they have, and say, this isn't for you to decide, this is for us to decide. You can have no say practically. I don't even care what you say.
Talk about professionalism, hey?
Yeah. For just to be the atmosphere. Base level, if that is the atmosphere, there is big problems over in Spain if that is the atmosphere when the Federation comes back and says, ask for forgiveness and we might forgive you, and if you don't play, then we're going to ban you for 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of problems over there. And Jenni Hermoso's statement, she said, she talked a lot about finding solutions for these problems. She says there is problems. What are the solutions? What are the solutions? Those 15 players, a lot of the solution might be, well, if you get rid of the coach or this or that, could that be a solution? It might be. Could it be other things that they maybe can work out internally and keep the coach? Maybe. I mean, so that leads us to the game that the U.S. that are going to be playing against Spain on the 11th of October. I guess our question here is, I came across a couple articles online I came across this opinion piece that says,
the U.S. women's soccer team must cancel their upcoming game against Spain.
Yes. And that's kind of an angle that I kind of want to talk about, quickly about the game that they're playing against Spain. In this article, it kind of talks about, and I've seen this around the web too, I just came across this article. The women's national team wants to be a leader in empowerment, in fairness. Obviously, they haven't always done the right thing necessarily, but I think they always every year are striving to get to a place of accountability with fairness and mental health. Should they actually play the Spanish team? Because how are they going to play a team that has no respect for the players?
Yes, should they also protest and be like, yo, we're not playing this team until they get their ish together? Right. Last week, 15 players from Spain announced they would not play for Spain's national women's soccer team due to the coach, his significant effect on their emotional state. Players have described Vilda as dictatorial, and feel as though they are kept under strict surveillance. In a shocking response, the Spain Soccer Federation stood by its coach and said the 15 players would not play for Spain again until they admit their error and apologize, which could cause them to miss out on playing at the 2023 Women's World Cup next summer. Women should not have to put their careers on the line in order to stand up for fair treatment from their employer. Spain's federation response is disrespectful at best and misogynist at worst, and it should not go unnoticed, since the federation would not listen to its own players as they pled for a less toxic work environment. The onus is now on other federations to hold Spain's federation accountable. The U.S. women's national team has upcoming matches scheduled against England October 7th and Spain October 11th. In solidarity with the 15 Spanish players and out of respect for all the women who have had workplace treatment allegations brushed under the rug, the U.S. Soccer Federation must cancel its upcoming match against Spain. There is a constant debate on whether politics should be kept out of sports, yet the U.S. women's national team revels in political battles and intense activism, from sponsoring women's empowerment initiatives to suing its own employers for equal pay with its male counterparts and getting it. This team has become an international beacon for women's activism.
That's pretty much the thought, and I that article is online, but I've seen it around the web, to show a level of solidarity with the Spanish players. Should the U.S. women's national team even play Spain on the 11th? I mean, it's a good question, and I think it will send a message if the U.S. We're not going to play you. We don't think what you're doing is right. We don't think what you're doing is just. We think it's harmful not only to your players but to women across the world.
Yeah, they should release their own statement, backing down and saying, standing up but backing down from the game and saying, we respect the players and y'all need to listen to the players.
Because Sweden also plays the game against Spain that during that international break. People are saying, well, what if Sweden and the United States decide not to play their games against Spain, and then Sweden and America play each other? That way,
I like that.
They could still play and be in solidarity against Spain.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm not against that. If U.S. women's national team said we're not going to play against Spain, I think they would have a lot of people on their side for that. So, that's a good question. I think that's part of the discussion I wanted to have in our is if they should. I would be for if they don't want to take a stand against Spain's response, because from the beginning, Spain's response has been disturbing. From the very get-go of, first of all, making this public when it wasn't supposed to be public. Then you can ask for forgiveness. Then you can't play for 5 years. It's all very disturbing. And for them to put out this letter and get this kind of response, I think it actually puts more people, when you really look into the circumstances, I think it puts more people on the women's side. I really do. Yeah. So it's very disturbing. And the more I read into it, the more I said the Spanish Federation is... I believe being unreasonable, and I think the United States should maybe take a stand and say we're not going to play. I don't see how the Spanish team can thrive when the players when the players do not feel protected, when the players feel like their well-being is not cared for at all. It seems like feel like their well-being is not cared for at all.
Yeah, so
physically and emotionally and everything.
Yeah, they need to get it together and be better, do better.
Yeah. What does everyone think? And also, what does everyone think about, should the United States play? Should they cancel that match? Questions, comments down below, and we'll see how this also plays out, and we'll update. Hello, everybody. We probably put this in the timestamps down below, but we're just putting this at the very end of the video because there is an update about this situation, because it really started over a week ago at this point, but now there has been a statement by Jorge Vilda.
Spain's Jorge Vilda, I won't resign. Players' mutiny is hurting women's football.
So that is the headline. So he had a press conference. They named the squad for the friendlies that are going to be playing in October. And then we're going to read a little bit of the statement. Then we're going to talk about it.
Spain's women's team coach, Jorge Vilda, said he hasn't considered resigning after 15 players refused to play for the side while he remains in charge, calling the situation a farce. So Vilda named his latest squad on Friday for Spain's games against Sweden and the United States next month. None of the 15 rebels players were included on the list, which featured 6 players who have not previously played for their country, while Captain Irene Paredes and Spain's record goal scorer Jenni Hermoso were also left out. I wouldn't wish what I was going through on anyone.
Oh my gosh.
God, what a poor victim. I feel so bad for him. Vilda said in a defiant news conference on Friday, a lack of clarity in the message from the players has led people to believe there are non-sporting issues here. I'd ask every player I've coached if anyone can say they haven't been treated well to come out and say it. At no time have I thought about resigning. I've been working towards this for a long time.
So that's the base of it. He is not resigning. The 15 players are not on the roster. And also Jenni Hermoso, which I don't know exactly if she's injured or if she just wasn't included for being an ally to them as well.
Right.
That seems like the story as well. But he not only said those things, but he's also the victim, because he goes, he would never wish this upon himself. He would never wish this upon anybody.
I can't.
So I think even if you were kind of on his side, which you could be, I mean, you could be on his side. It's opinions, for him to play the victim at this point is very disturbing. And also, if you go on the official Spanish women's Instagram, I mean, I would say 90% of the people commenting are saying VildaOut. Everyone is saying,
yeah, there's a hashtag VildaOut.
Yeah. So they did not include this 15 players. We will see where that goes from here, if they're going to stick to that. But I cannot imagine how a team can play with this going on right now. I can't see how a team A can play, B, be successful, and how the fans, most of the fans, I think, are not on the Federation and Vilda's side. So that is the update. And, I based on the video because we recorded the video yesterday and this new information just came out now, but based on what we had said yesterday, I mean, there obviously is a problem there. He needs to change, because they said they're not sure what the messaging, he says right there, I'm not sure what they even want. I'm not sure what they're asking for, a lack of clarity in the message. I mean, if you can't even take a step back and have a little self-awareness for what is going on, that's a problem. Why would you want this guy to be your coach? So I just think, to be honest, this statement today in this press conference just reinforces, I think public opinion after this press conference probably is not helping the Federation or Vilda. So also we still think, should the United States even play this game, that this is going to add more fuel to that fire. Maybe there's a possibility the United States says, no, we're not going to play it. I don't think that's going to happen, but
I don't know. I think they should. But...
I think they should as well, not play it.
Okay, so I'll kind of reiterate / add a little bit more to what he said. So this is a farce on the world stage. It's hurting women's football. I'm with those players who want to be a part of this national team. Yeah,
that's disturbing, because he's basically saying people who have concerns, it's a farce to have a concern. It's, he's the victim. Well, maybe he's saying the other girls are the victims who want to play it. It's a story that I can't see how they can be successful with this coach in place.
Yeah,
I don't see how they can be successful.
So hashtag VildaOut.
Yeah. And if you go to the Instagram, most of the people are saying VildaOut. So
yeah.
And those are the people who support the games and the team. What do you guys think that this just happened today? We recorded the other part of the video yesterday, the day before that this came out. But I think there's still more going on. I'm still hoping the United States says, we're not going to play this team. I think that will actually send a big message to that federation, the Spain Federation.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. What does everyone think? Questions, comments down below. And yeah, we will update this as it goes on. Have a great night.
All right, bye.